Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this, but thank you for joining us again at our Wellness for Warriors presentation. You all know Hank over here. He's been on plenty of these videos, and Hank and I are glad to have Jessica Estes with us today. She is with the, well, I'm going to let Jessica explain her position and job title because I'm afraid I will mess it up. But Jessica's going to talk to us a little bit about the EMS program here at Cox Health and some of the things they do and some of the ways they try and keep wellness a big part of their day-to-day activities. So Jessica, thank you for coming and hanging out with us a little bit this morning.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to let you just kind of talk about who you are and what you do.
Okay. My name is Jessica Estes. I'm a paramedic with Cox EMS. I've been here for about 6 years. I currently also work in our education department. I am part-time education, part-time on the truck. I coordinate all of our education stuff, all of our classes, things of that nature. I run our academy. And that's where I actually met these guys, is in our academy. I help kind of coordinate their classes that they come do. They teach in our academy for us. And now I'm done.
I understand. Well, you, by the way, worked a shift last night.
Yes.
So you were on the truck in the field until midnight.
Absolutely,
last
yeah.
night, so.
All the time.
Yeah, we should have had a big pot of coffee here for you.
Yes.
When I went to the EMS area there at Cox North one day, I can't, it may have been Ryan or someone was pointing out all the coffee pots. He said, you know, this is an EMS department. There's coffee pots everywhere.
Yes, I actually donated a bun coffee pot to our education department.
Well, tell us a little bit about the academy, like how that works.
Okay. The academy, what we do is we have a 2-week full academy for our new recruits. They come in after their site-wide orientation with Cox, and we put them through an orientation period during the first week, so they get to know a little bit about our service. We talk about all the boring stuff like setting up passwords and all that fun stuff. We introduce them to different programs like Wellness for Warriors. We also introduce them to our air care department and our industrial services. Amy Cruz comes in and she talks about injury prevention and stuff like that. And we work with them. And then they get their driver training. And then second week we put them through our core competency course, which basically is just a 5-day high-speed low drag education course on cardiology, respiratory systems, critical thinking, TCs, and just the gamut of everything that you would get in class in about 4 days. And then we take them out on Fridays and we start their progressive boarding process, which is a practice test for their onboarding 6 weeks later.
Oh, cool. Now, one of the things that Hank and I are very privileged to help with in that academy is teaching a wellness class, but mental wellness is kind of what our focus is. So talk a little bit about that and the importance of that in that field particularly.
Absolutely. Wellness for EMS as a whole has been kind of pushed to the wayside in the past. We have a lot of people who typically develop PTSD at some point, and we always talk about how they at one point in their career will have what we call a career-ending call, whether it's an injury or something mental, or they've been physically assaulted, something of that nature. So we talk about that. Wellness, coming from the Wellness Warriors, gives them an opportunity to speak to somebody who can help with those issues. Because eventually it will happen. Either they'll get out on their own, or they will be forced out because of something that's happened. So we talk about wellness. EMS people traditionally are really good at compartmentalizing their emotions and their thought processes, and they don't talk about the stuff that they see, because it's hard to talk about that with the normal population because they don't deal with what we have. So bringing in that program is really helpful for that. It gives them an out. And a lot of people who are brand new to the service, they have no idea what they're getting into. Like, they have no idea what we deal with on a daily basis. The assaults that we have to deal with, the just general malaise of the community, I guess we could say. We have a high violence rate in this city, so a lot of our new people don't understand how to deal with that. So we're very honest with them. We actually put on another class. It's called DT for EMS, Defensive Tactics for Escape, Mitigating, and Surviving the Violent Encounter. I instruct that one. We talk about a lot of mental preparedness and stuff like that. So that's where that wellness thing comes in. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Jessica, why did you become a medical professional?
A medical professional. Why did I become a medical professional? Actually, it was the Joplin tornado was the reason I became a medical professional. When I was 21, I had failed out of college. I moved home. I was kind of listless, severely depressed, all that fun stuff. The day before my 22nd birthday, May 22nd, 2011, I was in Joplin with my sister to celebrate my birthday. We were at the movies, and as we know, that was the day that the Joplin tornado happened. I was actually half a block from where the tornado stopped.
Wow.
Yeah. The actual, a good portion of my family was in Joplin that day for no other reason than they were just there. So nobody was hurt, but I had this like driving need to go help. So like 5 a.m. the day of my birthday, I ended up at MSSU. I found some people that I happened to know. Ended up on a search and rescue team. I knew nothing about medical, search and rescue, any of that fun stuff. And I went out in the community and attempted to help people. And then, as cliche as it is, I heard the call. 6 months later, I was in the EMT course.
Yeah, and I don't, Hank, you weren't here at that time, and if there's anybody watching this video maybe who has relocated to this area since then, that wasn't just another Southwest Missouri tornado. I mean, that was a devastating tornado. I think over 100 fatalities.
106, and
Yeah.
it was the deadliest tornado in history.
Yeah, just an absolute nightmare. So you can really see how that would be a life-changing event, especially being right there where it happened. Yeah.
What
absolutely.
advice can you give young EMTs or young paramedics in maintaining balance and being able to cope with the stresses of the job and the demanding schedule you have?
Taking time for yourself is the number one thing that I can say. Again, historically, EMS is not the most highest paid medical profession out there, and we tend to work a lot. We have a strong sense of community involvement and the need to be there. But remembering that you come first in all situations, your health, your safety, remembering to take your days off, put work aside, leave it at home, have friends outside the job.
Yeah.
Don't just surround yourself with people who do this job, because you'll never get away from it. Also, sleeping normally, not being dependent on alcohol. There are a lot of people who are dependent on alcohol and knowing that's their coping mechanism. For me, for instance, what I do, I play video games a lot. Just lose myself in a different world. I read a lot of books. And then just helping my fellow people in this job. I love it. That's how I cope with the things that I do. And I teach from my, I wouldn't say bad experiences, but from the not great experiences I've had in this job. Those are my teaching points, to make sure that other people don't have the same issues that I have.
Absolutely. And I know that's one of the things that we talk about when we do the wellness presentation in the academy is having those things outside of work that can kind of fill you up, and it's also I think important. You had mentioned if you don't do that job, it's difficult for other people to understand what the hours are like, and then the things that you're dealing with hour to hour while you're on the clock. And it seems to me that it's important to talk to your friends, your family, your loved ones about that. I'll sometimes when I'm teaching that class, I'll give the example of how, if my wife, for instance, doesn't really understand what I do for a living day to day, she, I go off to work, I go to Cox Health and do something, but it's really incumbent upon me, right, to help her understand what it is I do. I shouldn't expect that she would just have this understanding of what I do.
Absolutely.
So that communication, I think, is very important.
Communication with your loved ones. I know my mom, for instance, she never knows when to call me, because she's like, I never want to know when you're at work. I'm like, you can just always call me. I'll answer if I can. So she doesn't really understand my schedule, because I have a really weird schedule anyways. And most people in this job do. We work 24, 48. Here we work 8, 10, 12, 24. So there's a big rotation. And of course, everybody feels a sense of duty that they have to be here, and they have to work, and they have to do that overtime to make sure that the community is covered.
And so when the recruits get to you,
Mhm.
they have already taken care of the first part of that education. In other words, they're already an EMT or they're already a paramedic.
Correct.
And then through the academy, once Cox Health makes that hire based upon their qualifications, then the academy takes over.
Correct. Yes, they come to us with a license in hand, whether they've been a licensed practitioner for 20 years or 20 days. So we actually had one recently that had his license for about 2 days. So he was very new. We have since introduced him to some very interesting concepts in this job.
I'm sure.
Yes.
I can only imagine. Hank, any questions?
I don't have any others except thank you for your service. I've been on the
Absolutely.
receiving end of paramedics and EMTs. They saved the life of my granddaughter. Very special to me, true warriors in my mind, and thank you for all that you do for our community, Justin.
Well, thank you.
Good to have you here.
And remember, first responders, veterans, Wellness for Warriors. You can just go to Google, type in Wellness for Warriors. That'll get you where you need to be. It's the first thing that comes up. If you are a Cox Health employee, don't forget to the EAP program. Get the help you need if you feel, again, I use this example all the time. It's like a broken record, but you know, when you hear that ping in the engine, you need to get that engine checked because it's only going to get worse if you just ignore it. So